Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Horizon, staring at the stars through the main window. The ship had been traveling through deep space for 3 months, looking for new worlds and new life. Jake was a tall man with brown hair and kind eyes. He had been captain for 5 years and loved exploring the unknown parts of the galaxy. "Captain, we are getting a strange signal," said Lieutenant Commander Lisa Rodriguez from her station. She was the ship's expert on alien life forms. Lisa had black hair and was very smart about science. She looked worried as she studied the readings on her screen. "What kind of signal?" Jake asked, walking over to her station. The other crew members on the bridge turned to listen. "It sounds like a distress call, but it is not from any human ship. The language is completely unknown. The signal is coming from the Kepler system, about 2 hours away at full speed," Lisa explained. Jake thought for a moment. Finding alien life was exciting, but it could also be dangerous. "Set course for the Kepler system. All hands, prepare for possible first contact with an alien species." The USS Horizon changed direction and headed toward the signal. As they got closer, they could see a small fleet of strange ships floating in space. The ships were beautiful, made of what looked like crystal that glowed with soft blue light. But many of the ships were damaged, with dark spots where the crystal had been broken. "Those ships are beautiful," whispered Tony Martinez, the chief engineer. He was a short man with a beard who loved working with machines. "I have never seen anything like them." "Captain, I am detecting life signs on the ships. They appear to be in trouble," reported Ben Davis, the tactical officer. Ben was young, but very good at his job. He could read the ship's sensors better than anyone. Jake made his decision. Open a channel to the alien ships. Let them know we want to help. Lisa worked at her station, trying to figure out how to communicate with the aliens. After a few minutes, she managed to send a simple message using pictures and basic sounds. The response came quickly, a series of musical tones that sounded both beautiful and sad. "They are asking for help," Lisa said. "I think they are running from something." One of the alien ships sent a small transport vessel to the USS Horizon. Jake, Lisa, and 2 security officers went to the docking bay to meet their visitors. When the doors opened, they saw creatures unlike anything they had ever imagined. The aliens were tall and thin, made of living crystal that sparkled in the light. They moved smoothly, like they were floating instead of walking. Their faces were hard to understand, but Jake could see they were scared and tired. The leader of the aliens stepped forward. Through a small device, it spoke in broken English. "I am Zexthara. We are Vellani. We need help. The Korthik come. They destroy everything." "Who are the Korthik?" Jake asked gently. Zexthara's crystal body dimmed. "They are evil. They kill all who will not serve them. We have run for many years. They destroyed our home world. Now they chase us across the stars." Lisa stepped forward. "We are humans. We want to help you. Can you tell us more about your people?" Over the next few hours, Jake and his crew learned about the Vellani. They were a peaceful race who had lived on crystal worlds for thousands of years. They were amazing healers and could work with energy in ways humans did not understand. But they were not fighters. When the Korthik Empire found them, they had no choice but to run. The Korthik were described as giant reptile creatures who loved war and conquest. They had powerful weapons and huge fleets. They took over planets and made the people there into slavs. The Vellani had been running from them for 50 years, losing more people with each attack. "How many of you are left?" Jake asked. "Only a few thousand," Zexthara said sadly. "Once we were millions. Now we are so few. Soon we will all be gone." Jake felt anger rising in his chest. He had always hated bullies, and the Korthik sounded like the worst kind of bullies. "You do not have to run anymore. We will help you." "But you do not understand," Zextara said. "The Korthik are very strong. They have many ships. They will destroy you too." "Maybe," Jake said, "but we cannot let them keep hurting innocent people. That is not who we are." Jake called Admiral Karen Thompson at Earth Command. She was his boss, and a tough woman who had been in the military for 30 years. At first, she was not sure about getting involved in an alien war. "Captain Morrison, this could be very dangerous for Earth," she said over the video call. "We do not know anything about these aliens or their enemies. Admiral, I have met them. They are good people who need our help. If we do not help them, who will?" Jake replied. Lisa had been studying the Velani medical technology. She found that it was far more advanced than anything humans had. The Velani could heal injuries that would kill a human and regrow lost body parts. This technology could save millions of human lives. "Admiral, look at what they can do," Lisa said, showing her the medical scans. "They can heal cancer, fix broken spines, even regrow organs. If we help them, they might share this knowledge with us." Admiral Thompson thought about it for a long time. Finally, she nodded. "Very well. Offer them protection. But be careful, Captain. You might be starting something bigger than you know." Jake turned to Zextara. "The human race offers you our protection. We will fight the Korthik if they try to hurt you again. In return, we hope you will share your knowledge with us so we can help each other." Zextara's crystal body began to glow brighter. "You would do this for us? You would risk your people for strangers?" "You are not strangers anymore," Jake said. "You are our friends, and humans protect their friends." The alliance was made official in a ceremony aboard the USS Horizon. Jake and Zextara signed a treaty that would change the galaxy forever. The Velani would share their healing technology and energy knowledge. The humans would provide military protection and help the Velani find a new home dot as the Velani ships joined the human fleet. Jake looked out at the stars. He did not know what challenges lay ahead, but he knew they had done the right thing. Velani were good people who deserved to live in peace. News of the alliance spread quickly through human space. Some people were excited about the new technology and the chance to meet aliens. Others were worried about getting involved in a war with an unknown enemy, but Jake was not worried. He had seen the fear in Zextara's eyes turn to hope. He had seen how grateful the Velani were for human kindness. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The USS Horizon and the Velani fleet set course for human space. Behind them, the stars seemed a little brighter, as if the universe itself approved of this new friendship between two very different species. 6 months had passed since the humans and Velani made their alliance. The changes were amazing. On the human colony of New Seattle, Dr. Alan Price walked through the new medical center with wonder in his eyes. The building was half human technology and half Velani crystal, creating something beautiful and powerful. "Dr. Price, we have another patient ready," said Kethara, a young Velani healer. She was smaller than most of her people. With crystal, it sparkled like diamonds. She had learned to speak English very well and had become Alan's closest friend among the Velani. The patient was a human man who had been in a terrible accident. His spine was broken, and human doctors had said he would never walk again. But with Velani healing technology, things were different. Alan watched as Kethara placed her crystal hands on the man's back. Blue light flowed from her fingers, and slowly the broken bones began to heal. "It still amazes me every time," Alan said quietly. 6 months ago, this man would have been in a wheelchair for life. Now he will walk again. "Your human medicine is amazing too," Kethara replied. "The way you use machines to see inside the body the chemicals you create to fight disease. Together, we can do things neither of us could do alone. This was happening all over human space. Vellani healers worked with human doctors in hospitals and medical centers. They shared their knowledge and learned from each other. Diseases that had killed humans for thousands of years were now curable. People who had been dying were getting better. But the alliance was about more than just medicine. Chief Engineer Tony Martinez was working with Vellani engineers to improve human starships. The Vellani understood energy in ways that humans were just beginning to learn. "Look at this," Tony said to his team as they worked on the engines of a new ship. "The Vellani can make our engines 50% more efficient. We can travel farther and faster than ever before." A Vellani engineer named Vexton was helping with the work. He was old, even for a Vellani, and his crystal body had a deep blue color. That showed his age and wisdom. "Your engines are powerful, but wasteful," he explained. "Energy should flow like water, not explode like fire." Working together, the human and Vellani engineers created hybrid ships that were both powerful and efficient. These ships could travel to distant stars and still have enough energy to fight if needed. The new technology was being shared with all human colonies. On Earth, President Nathan Ford was meeting with his advisors about the alliance. Some people were worried about the cost of protecting the Vellani. Others were concerned about getting involved in an alien war. "Mr. President, the Korthek Empire is huge," said Secretary of Defense Helen Clark. "Our intelligence shows they have thousands of ships and have conquered dozens of worlds. Are we sure we want to fight them?" "The Vellani are not just allies," President Ford replied. "They have become part of our community. Have you seen the reports from the colonies? Human and Vellani children playing together, families becoming friends. This is bigger than politics or military strategy." He was right. On colonies throughout human space, the Vellani had integrated into human society in ways no one had expected. In the schools on New Seattle, human children learned alongside young Vellani. The Vellani children looked like small crystals that could move and think, and they were very gentle and kind. Mary Johnson, a teacher on New Seattle, watched her mixed class with pride. "The Vellani children are so patient and calm," she told her husband over dinner. "They have helped the human children learn to be kinder to each other. There has been no fighting or bullying since they arrived." Her daughter Lucy had become best friends with a young Vellani named Shimara. They played together every day, and Lucy was learning to speak the musical language of the Vellani. "Mom, Shimara taught me a new song today," Lucy said. "It helps flowers grow better." The Vellani had a calming effect on human society. Their peaceful nature and their love of beauty and harmony were spreading to the humans around them. Crime rates dropped on colonies with Vellani populations. People seemed happier and more willing to help each other, but not everyone was happy about the changes. Some humans worried that their species was becoming too dependent on alien technology. Others feared that the Korthek would eventually find them and bring war to human space. These fears were not unfounded. Far away, in the dark regions of space, the Korthek Empire had indeed taken notice of the new alliance. General Vrektor was a massive reptilian creature with scales as black as space and eyes like burning coals. He commanded the largest fleet in the Korthek Empire and had conquered more worlds than any other general. "The humans have allied with our prey," he growled to his officers. "This cannot be allowed." The Korthek had been hunting the Vellani for decades, using them as test subjects for their weapons and keeping some as slaves for their healing abilities. The idea that another species would protect the Vellani was both insulting and threatening to the Korthek way of life. "Sir, the humans appear to be a young species," reported one of his officers. "They have only been traveling between stars for a few hundred years. They cannot be a serious threat." Any species that protects our property is a threat, Richter replied. Begin gathering intelligence on these humans. I want to know their strengths and weaknesses. Back on the USS Horizon, Captain Jake Morrison was reviewing reports from across human space. The Alliance was working better than anyone had hoped. Trade between human and Valani colonies was booming. New technologies were being developed every day. The future looked bright. Captain, we are receiving a message from Admiral Thompson, said Lieutenant Commander Ben Davis. She wants to speak with you privately. Jake went to his ready room and activated the secure communication system. Admiral Thompson's face appeared on the screen, and she looked worried. Jake, our long-range sensors have detected unusual activity in Korthik space, she said. Large fleet movements, increased communications traffic. It looks like they might be planning something. Do you think they are going to attack? Jake asked. I do not know, but we need to be ready. The Valani have been free for 6 months now. The Korthik might decide it is time to take them back. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. He had grown to care deeply about the Valani people. Izzy Esthara had become like a brother to him, and he could not imagine letting the Korthik hurt any of them. What are your orders, Admiral? Continue building our alliance, but start preparing for the possibility of war. If the Korthik come, we need to be ready to fight. Jake nodded. He had hoped they would have more time to build their friendship with the Valani, but it seemed like that time might be running out. That evening, Jake had dinner with Zexthara and several other Valani leaders. They ate in Jake's quarters, sharing both human and Valani food. The Valani food was made of crystals that dissolved into energy when eaten, while the humans ate their usual meals. Zexthara, I need to ask you about the Korthik, Jake said carefully. How strong are they really? What should we expect if they decide to attack? Zexthara's crystal body dimmed slightly. They are very strong, Jake. They have been conquering worlds for thousands of years. Their ships are fast and their weapons are powerful, but their greatest strength is their cruelty. They do not just defeat their enemies, they destroy everything. They love, but they can be beaten? Jake asked. Perhaps. They have never faced a species like humans before. You fight not just with weapons, but with love for your friends. That might make the difference. Jake nodded. He hoped Zexthara was right. The bond between humans and Valani had grown stronger every day. Human families had adopted Valani refugees. Valani healers had saved thousands of human lives. They were no longer just allies. They were family. As the months passed, the signs of coming trouble grew stronger. Korthik scout ships were spotted near the edges of human space. Communication intercepts suggested they were planning something big. The peaceful time of building friendship was about to end, but the alliance had grown strong. Human and Valani technology had been combined to create powerful new weapons and defenses. More importantly, the two species had learned to trust and care for each other. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The Korthak Empire was about to learn what happened when you threatened the friends of humanity. The Korthik messenger ship arrived at the human diplomatic station near Jupiter without warning. It was a dark, ugly vessel that looked like it was designed to frighten rather than impress. The ship's hull was covered in spikes and weapon ports, and it radiated menace as it approached the peaceful station. Station Commander Rick Thompson, Captain Morrison's younger brother, watched the alien ship dock with growing concern. Rick was shorter than his brother, but had the same kind eyes and strong jaw. He had been running the diplomatic station for 2 years and had never seen anything like this ship. Sir, the alien is requesting permission to come aboard, said his communications officer, Lieutenant Sarah Davis. She was Ben Davis's sister and had the same talent for reading situations quickly. It says it has an important message for the Kia human government. Grant permission, but have security teams ready, Rick ordered. Something about this feels wrong. The Korthik diplomat was a massive creature that barely fit through the station's corridors. Scaleth was 8 feet tall, covered in dark green scales, and had yellow eyes that seemed to look right through people. When it spoke, its voice was like rocks grinding together. "I am Scaleth, voice of the mighty Korthik Empire," it announced. "I bring words from General Vrakter, conqueror of 100 worlds." Rick tried to remain calm, but the alien's presence made everyone on the station nervous. "Welcome to our station. I am Commander Thompson. What message do you bring?" Skyleth's mouth opened to show rows of sharp teeth. "The Korthik Empire has a simple message for the human species. You are harboring our property. The crystal beings called Velani belong to us. Return them immediately or face the consequences." "The Velani are not property," Rick replied firmly. "They are allies and friends. They chose to join us freely." "Choice is not relevant," Scaleth hissed. "The Velani are our slaves. They have been our slaves for 50 years. You will return them, or we will take them by force." Rick felt anger building in his chest. "I will pass your message to my superiors. But I can tell you now that humans do not abandon their friends." The alien's eyes flashed with amusement. "Humans are young and weak. You have been traveling between stars for only a few hundred years. We have been conquering worlds for thousands. You cannot stand against the might of the Korthik Empire." "We will see about that," Rick said quietly. The message was sent immediately to Earth, where President Nathan Ford called an emergency meeting of his top advisors. The room was tense as they discussed the Korthik ultimatum. "They want us to hand over the Velani like they are objects," said Secretary of Defense Helen Clark. "This is exactly what we feared would happen." "What do our intelligence reports say about Korthik strength?" asked President Ford. General Patricia Hayes, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, consulted her tablet. "They have a massive military, thousands of ships, millions of soldiers. They have conquered over 50 worlds and enslaved dozens of species. They are not an enemy to take lightly." "But they have never fought humans before," pointed out science advisor Dr. Rachel Kim. "They might be underestimating us." President Ford thought for a long moment. He remembered visiting the colonies and seeing human and Velani children playing together. He thought about the medical centers where Velani healers worked alongside human doctors to save lives. The alliance had become something precious and beautiful. "Prepare a response," he ordered. "Tell them we will not abandon our allies." The next day, President Ford addressed the Korthik Empire in a broadcast that was sent across the galaxy. He stood at his podium in the White House, looking calm but determined. "To the Korthik Empire," he began, "we have received your ultimatum regarding our Velani allies. Our response is simple. We do not abandon our friends. The Velani are free beings who chose to join us. They are not property to be traded or slaves to be returned." He paused, letting his words sink in. "We are a peaceful species, but we will not tolerate aggression against those we have sworn to protect. Humans say it once. Do not hurt our alien allies. We hope you will choose peace, but if you choose war, we will be ready." The broadcast reached every corner of human space and was picked up by alien species throughout the galaxy. The reaction was mixed. Some species admired human courage in standing up to the Korthik. Others thought humans were foolish to challenge such a powerful empire. On the Korthik flagship, General Vrakter watched the human president's speech with amusement. "Humans say it once," he repeated mockingly. "What arrogance! They think their words will frighten us." His second-in-command, Colonel Thrakar, was less amused. "Sir, the humans have been preparing for months. Their fleets are larger than we. Initially thought, and they have been upgrading their weapons with Velani technology. It does not matter, Vraktor growled. Numbers mean nothing without the will to use them. Humans are soft. They care too much about their friends to fight effectively. That caring will be their weakness. But Vraktor was wrong about humans. Throughout human space, the reaction to the Korthik ultimatum was not fear but anger. People were outraged that anyone would threaten their Velani friends. On New Seattle, Mary Johnson watched the president's speech with her daughter Lucy and her Velani friend Shim'ara. "Do not worry," she told the young Velani. "We will not let anything happen to you." Lucy hugged her crystal friend. "My daddy says humans always protect their friends. The bad aliens cannot hurt you while we are here." Similar scenes played out across human space. Families took in Velani refugees. Workers volunteered to build defenses. Young people enlisted in the military. The threat against the Velani had united humanity in a way that nothing else ever had. Colonel Susan Wright, head of human military intelligence, was working around the clock to prepare for the coming war. She was a tough woman who had served in the military for 20 years. Her office was filled with maps and reports about Korthik movements. "The Korthik are massing their fleets," she reported to Admiral Thompson. "Long-range sensors show at least 2,000 ships gathering in their space. They are planning something big." "What about our defenses?" Admiral Thompson asked. "We have been building as fast as we can. The new hybrid ships with Velani technology are ready. Our weapons have been upgraded, but we are still outnumbered 5-1. Admiral Thompson nodded grimly. "Numbers are not everything. We have something they do not have. We are fighting for our friends." Back on the USS Horizon, Captain Jake Morrison was meeting with Zextara and other Velani leaders. They were planning evacuation routes in case the Korthik broke through human defenses. "Jake, you do not have to do this," Zextara said. "We can run again. We have done it before." "No," Jake replied firmly. "Running is over. You are part of our family now. We protect our family." The other Velani leaders looked at each other with crystal eyes that sparkled with tears. No one had ever been willing to fight for them before. The humans were offering something they had never had, a chance to stop running and start fighting. "Back, what can we do to help?" asked Kethara, the young healer who had become Dr. Prace's friend. "Your healing abilities will be crucial," Jake explained. "In battle, being able to heal our wounded quickly could make the difference between victory and defeat." "We will do whatever we can," Zextara promised. "You have given us hope. Now we want to give you victory." As the days passed, the tension grew. Korthik scout ships were spotted closer to human space. Communication intercepts suggested the attack would come soon. Across human space, people said goodbye to their families and prepared for war. But there was also determination. The alliance with the Velani had shown humans what they could accomplish when they worked together with other species. The medical advances, the new technologies, the peaceful colonies where different species lived in harmony. All of this was worth fighting for. On Earth, President Ford received daily reports about the military preparations. The odds were not good, but he was not worried. He had seen how humans reacted when their friends were threatened. He had seen the volunteers, the donations, the unity. "The Korthik made a mistake," he told his advisors. "They think caring about others makes us weak. They are about to learn that caring about others makes us stronger." The warning had been given. The lines had been drawn. The Korthik Empire was about to discover what happened when you threatened the friends of humanity. In the darkness of space, two great forces prepared for war. One fought for conquest and slavery. The other fought for friendship and freedom. The galaxy would never be the same. The attack on Haven Prime began at dawn. The colony was a beautiful world where humans and Velani lived together in perfect harmony. Crystal buildings stood next to human structures, and the two species had created something unique and wonderful. Children of both races played in the parks, while their parents worked together in the hospitals, schools, and farms. Commander Rick Thompson was visiting the colony when the Korthik ships appeared in the sky. He had come to check on the defenses and to see how the mixed communities were doing. What he saw that morning would haunt him forever. "Sir, we have enemy ships dropping out of hyperspace," reported Lieutenant Mike Chun from the defense station. "Hundreds of them. They are not responding to our communications." Rick looked up at the sky and saw the dark shapes of Korthik warships blocking out the sun. His heart sank as he realized they were outnumbered 20-1. "Sound the evacuation. Alarm. Get as many people to the shelters as possible." The first bombs fell on the Vellani Healing Center. The beautiful crystal building that had saved thousands of lives was destroyed in seconds. The explosion was so bright that it could be seen from space. Inside, dozens of Vellani healers and human doctors were killed. Instantly, Dr. Alan Price was in the center when the bombs hit. He was working with his friend Kethara to help a human child who had been badly injured. The explosion threw them both across the room, and when Alan woke up, he found Ketharai's crystal body shattered beside him. "No, no, no," he whispered, trying to put the pieces back together, but it was too late. The young Vellani, who had become like a sister to him, was dead. All around the colony, the Korthik ships were bombing civilian targets. They hit schools, hospitals, and homes. They seemed to enjoy destroying the places where humans and Vellani lived together. The message was clear. Friendship between species would not be tolerated. Rick gathered every human soldier he could find and tried to organize a defense. But they had only a few hundred fighters against thousands of Korthik warriors. The enemy. Soldiers were massive reptiles in powered armor, and they moved through the colony like a plague of destruction. "Hold the line at the main square," Rick ordered his troops. "We need to give the civilians time to escape." The battle was fierce but hopeless. The human soldiers fought bravely, but they were overwhelmed. Rick watched his friends die one by one as the Korthik pushed forward. The enemy seemed to take pleasure in the killing, laughing as they destroyed everything beautiful. On the colony. In the schools, human teachers tried to protect their students. Mary Johnson had been visiting Haven Prime to see how the mixed education program was working. When the attack began, she gathered all the children, human and Vellani, in her classroom. "Stay quiet," she whispered to them. "Help is coming." But a Korthik found them anyway. The door exploded inward, and a massive reptilian soldier entered. He looked at the mixed group of children with disgust. "Human and crystal spawned together," he hissed. "This is what happens when species mix." Mary stepped in front of the children. "They are just kids. Please do not hurt them." The Korthik soldier raised his weapon. "The crystal ones are property of the Empire. The human ones are enemies. Both must die." Mary closed her eyes and held the children close. But the shot never came. Instead, she heard the sound of human weapons fire as Rick and his soldiers burst into the room. The Korthik soldier fell, but more were coming. "We need to get them out of here," Rick shouted. "The evacuation ships are leaving soon." They fought their way through the burning colony, carrying the children to safety. But so many others were not so lucky. The Korthik were systematic in their destruction, making sure to kill as many Vellani as possible while broadcasting the attack. Across the galaxy, General Vrakter watched the battle from his flagship with satisfaction. "This is what happens to those who protect our property," he announced to his fleet. "Let all species see what befalls those who stand against the Korthik." Empire. The images of the massacre were indeed broadcast across the galaxy. Species throughout known space watched in horror as the Korthik slaughtered innocent civilians. The sight of human and Vellani children dying together sparked outrage throughout the civilized worlds. On Earth, President Ford watched the live feed, with tears in his eyes. The crystal buildings of Haven Prime were in ruins. The beautiful parks where children had played were covered in ash. The harmony that had taken months to build was destroyed in hours. How many dead? He asked quietly. 15,000 humans, 20,000 Vellani, reported General Hayes. The colony is completely destroyed. The survivors are being evacuated to nearby worlds. The president's hands shook with rage. Send orders to all fleet commanders. Deploy. Everything we have. No mercy. No quarter. Admiral Thompson was on the bridge of her flagship when the orders came through. She was a career military officer who had seen many battles, but she had never felt anger like this. The images from Haven Prime showed the burned bodies of children, the shattered crystal forms of Vellani healers, the ruins of hospitals and schools. Ships, this is Admiral Thompson, she broadcast to the human fleet. The Korthik have shown us what they are. They are not warriors. They are murderers. They killed our friends, our allies, our children. Today, we show them what happens when you hurt someone a human considers family. The response from the human fleet was immediate and unanimous. Every ship, every crew, every soldier was ready to fight. The attack on Haven Prime had not frightened them. It had enraged them. Captain Jake Morrison received the news while he was in hyperspace, rushing to help defend the colony. But he was too late. When the USS Horizon arrived, Haven Prime was already in ruins. The beautiful world that had been a symbol of human Vellani cooperation was now a graveyard. Take us down to the surface, Jake ordered. I want to see for myself. The landing party found a world destroyed. The crystal buildings had been shattered, their glowing fragments scattered across the ground like broken dreams. The human structures had been bombed into rubble. Bodies of both species lay everywhere, and the air was thick with smoke and ash. Jake found the ruins of the healing center where he had first met many of the Vellani. The place where so many lives had been saved was now a tomb. He knelt down and picked up a piece of crystal that had once been part of Kethara, the young healer who had worked so hard to help humans. I am sorry, he whispered to the crystal. I am sorry we could not protect you. Zexthara landed beside him, his crystal body darker than Jake had ever seen it. So many of our people, he said sadly. So many of our friends. This is not over, Jake said, standing up. The Korthik think they have won, but they have just started a war they cannot win. The survivors of Haven Prime were evacuated to other human worlds, but the damage was done. The Korthik had proven they were willing to kill civilians to make their point. They had shown the galaxy what happened to those who opposed them. But they had also made a terrible mistake. They had hurt the friends of humanity, and humans did not forget such things. The peaceful species that had welcomed the Vellani with open arms was about to become something much more dangerous. Dr. Price was among the survivors, badly injured but alive. As he recovered in a hospital on Earth, he worked with other human scientists to develop new weapons. They want to see what happens when you hurt our friends, he said grimly. Let us show them. The attack on Haven Prime was broadcast across human space. Every colony, every world, every ship saw the images of the massacre. The reaction was swift and terrible. Humans who had never held a weapon before enlisted in the military. Factories that had been making medical equipment began producing weapons. The peaceful alliance with the Vellani had become something harder and more focused. The Korthik had expected the humans to be frightened by the attack. Instead, they had awakened something they did not understand. They had learned that humans could be peaceful and kind, but they had not learned what humans became when their friends were threatened. The war had begun, and the Korthik were about to discover that they had made enemies of the wrong species. The images of Haven Prime's destruction would be remembered forever, and the price for those deaths would be paid in full. In the darkness of space, the human fleet gathered for war. They were no longer fighting for territory or resources. They were fighting for justice, for their murdered friends, for the innocent children who had died in the flames of Haven Prime. The Korvac had said humans were weak because they cared too much about their friends. They were about to learn that caring about their friends made humans the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The news of Haven Prime reached every corner of human space within hours. On colony worlds, in space stations, aboard merchant ships, everywhere humans lived and worked, the same reaction occurred. Shock, grief, and then a cold, terrible anger that would reshape the galaxy. Tony Martinez was working on a mining station when he saw the broadcast. He watched the footage of the destroyed healing center where he had helped install Villani Energy systems just months before. He saw the bodies of children he had met, both human and Villani, lying in the ash. "That is it," he said quietly, shutting off his tools. "I am done building things. Time to start breaking them." Within days, Tony had enlisted in the military and was working on weapons instead of mining equipment, all across human space. What happened next was not a war. It was an extinction event. The human response to Haven Prime was swift, systematic, and terrible. Within weeks, every Korvac outpost within 100 light years of human space had been destroyed. The humans did not negotiate, did not offer surrender terms, did not take prisoners. They simply arrived, destroyed everything, and moved on to the next target. Admiral Thompson led the main fleet from the front, her flagship cutting through Korvac space like a knife through flesh. The new hybrid ships, powered by human engineering and Villani energy technology, were faster and more powerful than anything the Korvac had ever faced. "Target the command ship first," she ordered as they approached another Korvac fleet. "Then work our way down." The battle was over in minutes. The Korvac ships, which had seemed so terrifying when they attacked the defenseless colony, were no match for humans fighting with focused rage. Every human crew member had seen the images from Haven Prime. Every one of them was fighting for their murdered friends. Captain Jake Morrison commanded a task force that specialized in hunting down Korvac generals. His ship, the USS Horizon, had been heavily armed and upgraded with the best technology both species could create. Jake himself had changed too. The diplomatic captain who had first met the Villani was gone, replaced by something harder and more dangerous. "Sir, we have located General Thrakar's flagship," reported Ben Davis. His sister Sarah had died in the Haven Prime attack, and he had requested assignment to Morrison's Hunter Group. "Good," Jake said quietly. "Take us in." The battle was personal. For Jake, he remembered Kethara's gentle crystal laugh, the way she had helped human children learn. He remembered the healing center where so many lives had been saved. All of it was gone, turned to ash by creatures who thought murder was a form of diplomacy. General Thrakar's ship tried to run, but there was nowhere to hide. The human ships were faster, their sensors more advanced, their weapons more precise. When they caught the Korvac flagship, the fight was brief and decisive. "General Thrakar, this is Captain Morrison," Jake broadcast to the damaged Korvac ship. "You participated in the massacre at Haven Prime. Surrender now, and you will be given a quick death." "Human fool," came the reply. "You cannot defeat the entire Korvac Empire. We are too strong, too numerous." "We are not trying to defeat you," Jake replied. "We are trying to erase you." The Korvac ship exploded in a ball of fire, taking General Thrakar and his crew with it. Jake felt no satisfaction, only a cold sense of justice being served. But the humans were not just fighting with weapons. Dr. Allen Price had survived Haven Prime, and his work in the months that followed was both brilliant and terrifying. Working with human scientists and Velani energy specialists, he created weapons specifically designed to target Korthic biology. Their reptilian physiology has several weaknesses, he explained to the military commanders. Their scales conduct certain frequencies that can disrupt their nervous systems. Their metabolism requires specific nutrients that we can target with engineered viruses. The biological weapons were deployed throughout Korthic space. Entire Korthic colonies began suffering from mysterious illnesses that only affected their species. The weapons were precise, deadly, and completely untraceable. No other species was harmed, but Korthic populations began dropping rapidly. Tony Martinez had become a weapons engineer, designing new tools of destruction with the same passion he had once used to build mining equipment. His latest creation was a device that could detect Korthic DNA and target it with lethal precision. They wanted to show us what happens when you oppose them, he said as he worked. Now we show them what happens when you hurt our friends. The Korthic Empire, which had dominated the galaxy for thousands of years, began to crumble. Their fleets were destroyed in battle after battle. Their colonies were abandoned as the populations fled or died from human bioweapons. Their generals were hunted down one by human task forces. Most terrifying of all was the systematic nature of the human response. This was not random violence or uncontrolled rage. The humans had created lists of every Korthic who had participated in the Haven Prime attack. They tracked down every ship, every soldier, every commander who had been involved. Justice was served with mechanical precision. The turning point came at the Battle of Korthic Prime, the enemy homeworld. Admiral Thompson led a massive human fleet to the heart of the Korthic Empire. The planet was defended by thousands of ships and orbital weapons platforms, but the humans came prepared. All ships, this is Admiral Thompson, she broadcast to her fleet. Today we finish what they started at Haven Prime. Today we show the galaxy what happens when you murder the innocent. The battle raged for 3 days. The Korthic fought desperately, knowing that defeat meant the end of their empire. But they were fighting humans who had seen their children die, who had watched their friends burn, who had witnessed the destruction of everything they held dear. General Vrektor led the defense personally, his massive flagship at the center of the Korthic formation. He had expected the humans to be frightened by the massacre at Haven Prime. Instead, he had created enemies more dangerous than any he had ever faced. How are they so strong? He roared at his officers as human ships broke through their defenses. They are a young species. They should be weak. Sir, they fight like they have nothing to lose, one of his officers replied. They do not retreat. They do not surrender. They just keep coming. Vrektor watched his empire die around him. Planet after planet had fallen to the humans. Fleet after fleet had been destroyed. Generals who had conquered dozens of worlds had been hunted down and killed. The mighty Korthic Empire was being systematically erased from existence. Open a channel to the human fleet, he ordered finally. Admiral Thompson's face appeared on his screen, and he saw something in her eyes that made him understand why his empire was dying. She looked at him not with hatred, but with cold, implacable justice. I am General Vrektor, he said. Why do you go to such lengths for another species? The Velani are not even your own kind. That is exactly why, Admiral Thompson replied. They were not our kind, but we made them our family. And you killed our family. I demand to know why you show such loyalty to aliens. Because they were our friends, the Admiral said simply. And we said we would protect them. The conversation was broadcast across the galaxy, and species throughout known space heard humanity's simple explanation for their terrible war of vengeance. The humans were not fighting for territory or resources or glory. They were fighting because someone had hurt their friends. General Vrektor's flagship was destroyed minutes later, ending the Battle of Korthik Prime and the Korthik Empire itself. The survivors scattered to the far reaches of the galaxy, broken and powerless. Their mighty fleets were space dust. Their colonies were empty. Their empire was a memory dot in the aftermath. The human fleet gathered in orbit around Korthik Prime. The planet below was in ruins, its cities bombed, its population fled or dead. The 1,000-year empire that had terrorized the galaxy was finished. "Sir, we are receiving surrender requests from surviving Korthik forces throughout the galaxy," reported a communications officer. "Tell them to keep running," Admiral Thompson replied. "We will find them eventually." The war was over, but the message had been sent. Every species in the galaxy now knew what happened when you hurt someone a human considered family. The peaceful traders who had welcomed aliens with open arms had revealed themselves to be the most dangerous species in known space when their friends were threatened. On the rebuilt colony of New Haven, constructed on the ruins of Haven Prime, a memorial stood in the center of the town. It bore the names of all who had died in the Korthik attack, human and Vellani alike. President Ford spoke at the dedication ceremony. "We did not seek this war," he said to the gathered crowd of both species. "But when our friends were threatened, when our family was attacked, we did what we had to do. We kept our promise to protect those who trusted us." Captain Jake Morrison, now Admiral Morrison, stood in the memorial garden with Zextara. Both had aged in the years since the war, but their friendship had only grown stronger. "The galaxy will remember this," Zextara said, his crystal form catching the light of the setting sun. "They will remember that humans keep their word." "Good," Jake replied. "Maybe next time someone will think twice before hurting our friends." Children played around them, human and Vellani, and other alien species that had joined the Alliance after seeing how humans honored their commitments. The garden was beautiful and peaceful, a symbol of what could be built when different species worked together. But everyone who visited the memorial could also see the orbital defense platforms in the sky above, the patrol ships that never stopped, watching the weapons that were always ready. The message was clear to all who might see it. Humans would build gardens with their friends, but they would also build weapons to protect those gardens. They had said it once, and the galaxy had learned. The truth of their words do not hurt their alien allies, the cost of ignoring that warning was extinction.